Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I hope all of you are in a good and healthy conditions. And in this occasion, I'd like to explain to you. I'd like to deliver the teaching materials today in a video. So today we're going to discuss about teaching and learning media. Okay, so let's start with these illustrations. What is teaching and learning media? So suppose that this yellow car is a media, because media is actually a tool or a vehicle or a channel to transfer information from the uh, what is it from the messenger into the receiver, right? Okay, so teaching media and learning media is a little bit different in the way we see the media. So it is different from the perspective how we see the media. So if we say it is a learning media, so we see it from the perspective of the students, that learning media is the media that help the students to learn, to achieve the learning objective. So let's see this illustration. So if this is a student and this is the media, the car is the media, and this is the road to achieve the learning objectives here. So learning media is the vehicle that used by the students to achieve the learning objective. But when we talk about teaching media, it means we talk about the media used by a teacher to deliver the teaching materials. So in this illustration, suppose that this is the teacher and this is the pathway of learning and this is the students. So the teacher send the message to the students by using the car. So the car is the media used by the teacher to send the learning message to the students. So this is the illustration of the role of media in the learning process, whether it is a teaching media or a learning media. I hope this illustration gives you an understanding about what we are going to talk about during this semester. Okay, so uh, in the previous slide, I described to you, explained to you about the concept of teaching and learning media. And here, let's start by defining the learning media itself. Okay, so these are some definitions of media. Let's start from the terminology. Media is a plural word from medium. So medium is the singular one and it is come from Latin, in which in English it means intermediary. Intermediate, oh, it's a quite difficult word, yeah. So in other words, you can say this that is a channel. Media is a tool. Media is the what is it? Vehicle. Yeah, as I said before in the previous illustration, yeah. Okay, and then the other definitions from Association of Education and Communication Technology, they suggest that media is any form and channel used by people to channel or to deliver the message or information. So I bold some words here as the main point. Yeah, the media is to channel the message or information. And the next definition is from Gardner, 1970. Media are various types of components in the student's environment that can motivate students to learn. It means by using the media, it will attract the students' attention and motivate them to learn, to give more motivation to the students. And the other definition, in the world of education, Arif S. Sadiman states that media is anything that can be used to channel message from the sender to the receiver so that it can stimulate the thoughts, the feelings, the interest, and the attention of students in such a way that the learning process occurs. Okay, again, in this definition, it's to channel the message, but the other function is to stimulate the thoughts, the feelings, the interest, and attention. Meanwhile, E. de Corte in W.S. Winkle states that learning media is a non-personal means. Non-personal means not human. Non-personal is not human. Yeah, means here means here has a definition as a tools. Yeah, tools means tools. They are the same. Okay, so a media is a non-personal tool used for used or provided by teaching staff, or in other words, the teacher, who play an important role in the teaching and learning process to achieve instructional goals. Okay, so from some these definitions, we can highlight some important points to channel the message or information, to motivate the students, can stimulate the thoughts, feelings, interest, and attention, and it is a non-personal means or tool. Okay, so from these some definitions, we can construct the definition of a media is a non-personal means that is used by the teacher to channel the message or to transfer the message to the students, that can motivate them, can stimulate the thoughts, feelings, interest, and attention in order to achieve the instructional goals. Okay, so you can just construct your own sentence to define the learning media, yeah, by using your own words. Okay, next about the functions and advantages of learning media. Of course, learning media have some function and advantages in the learning process. The first is fixative function, the second is manipulative function, and the third is distributive function. Let's discuss it one by one. The first is fixative function. Fixative function means the media is fixed. So once you made it, you can use it again and again many times with the same features and function. It means it fixed. For example, when you make a PowerPoint and then you use the PowerPoint to teach. So in the other occasion, when you want to teach the same thing, as long as the content is still related, you can use the PowerPoint again. So you don't need to make the new PowerPoint, the new one. That's what means by fixative. And then manipulative. It can be used by the students to explore the learning process. Manipulative here means that the media can be operated, can be explored by the students. This kind of media that have manipulative function, for example, Phantom or a doll, you know, that you can just, what is it, make something, you can touch it, you can observe it, and then you can rearrange it to make something new. Or maybe the other kind of this kind of media is blocks, blocks. Yeah, we can build something by using the blocks, and then we break it again and make the new things, the other things, and then by the time we explore many things by using this media, we can know further by exploring, by observing, by doing something with this media. That's manipulative function. And then distributive function. Distributive function, it means that by using the media, you can reach broader audience. For example, when you deliver a lecture and then you just explain it orally, verbally, without any media. So maybe the one who can listen to your voice is only the students who sit in front of the class. Maybe the first, second, and third lines. How if the class is big? So you need a media. For example, you use the PowerPoint and you share it by using projector so that the students sit at the back can see your slide, something like that. So this media can reach all the students in the room. Or if you use printed media, you can share what you teach to the students. You can copy it many times, many pieces, and then you can distribute to the students. So all students have the same access to the media, to the printed paper, for example, printed worksheet. Okay, so that means by distributive function. Okay, next. There are some obstacles in communication. You know, when we have communication, both oral communication or maybe written communication, face-to-face communication, or maybe by phone communications, there will be obstacles. It's very possible to have miscommunication, and some of the miscommunication in the classroom that sometimes happens are verbalism, misinterpretation, lack of understanding, and unfocused attention. Verbalism. Verbalism is when the students can repeat what the teacher said or do the instruction without actually understanding the meaning or the context. This kind of miscommunication sometimes happen when we use drilling method. We drill the students to produce the language many times until they can produce the language without thinking. But when we give the drilling, not in the context, I mean in isolated way, for example, we drill the vocabulary, we teach them that this word means this word in Bahasa and something like that, and then we drill it by using the game, or we ask the students to change the form of the words, the form of the verb depends on the uh, adverb of time, and we give them exercise, but actually then don't understand the context. Sometimes it's happen when we teach something in isolated, not in the communicative way, not in the context, I mean. That's verbalism. Or we just force the students to memorize something. So they can memorize them, they remember, but they don't understand. Yeah, that's verbalism. And then misinterpretation. Different way in receiving the message leads to different interpretation and prone to misinterpretation. Okay, when we don't use any media, we just deliver the lecture by using this kind of talk, something like this, by using audio only, for example, lecturing. So the way they receive the information will depend on their interpretation in their mind, right? And it can lead to different interpretations, and the different interpretation between students somehow can make misinterpretations. That's it. So the use of media help the students to have the same interpretation by giving them the visual, by giving them not only the explanation but also the writing on the slide, something like that. So at least there are two senses that receive the information, our eyes and our ears. That's it. And then the more sense receiving the information, the more nerves giving the response, it means the more understanding that we get. Okay, so this condition will lead to the next obstacles. It is lack of understanding. Do you remember about uh, the pyramid of learning that maybe I will show you in the next slide? Yeah, when we uh, receive an information only by listening. So there's only about maybe 10% of understanding that we get. But if we listen to it while we say it or while we read it, then the understanding will increase. And if we say it, we listen to it, and we practice it, so the more understanding that we will get, and so on and so on. I will show you the pyramid of learning on the next slide. Okay, the next obstacle is unfocused attention. Many things easily draw the students' attention to the other things. Media helps the students to stay focused. It attracts the students' attention, interest, and motivation. That's why media should be interesting. But not only interesting, but it's also needed to be effective. Effective means, yeah, it's useful to achieve the learning goal, learning objectives. The target is to achieve the learning objectives. Especially when we teach children, yeah, they have very short attention span. So you need something that can attract their attention, that make them focus to your class. And uh, media can help you to do this. Okay, so these are the obstacles in communication, and the use of media can minimize these obstacles. Got it? All right, so this is the foundation of the use of media, and this is the pyramid of learning that I taught you before. Okay, so in this pyramid, our sensory divided into three. Auditory, it means the sense that we receive by using our ear, and then visual is the sense that we receive by using our eyes, and then the next kinesthetic is the sense that we receive by using our motoric skill. Okay, you can see in this pyramid, so uh, when we only listen to a lecture, we can get only 5% of the message. And if we listen to the lecture while read it, we can have 10%. And then if we use audio visual means we see it and also we listen to it, and maybe there is animation as the illustration, so we can have 20% of understanding. But if the lecturer give demonstration, show you how the process is, for example, so it can reach 30% of your understanding. And then if we discuss it, for example, the lecturer gives you the prompt or give you the topic, and then we discuss it together. You start to questioning, you start to ask, and then you share your opinion, and then we have a kind of discussion discussing this topic in a very deep discussion, then we can have 50% of understanding, and the teacher here as the facilitator to make sure that the discussion is on the track. Yeah. And then if we learn by practicing, learning by doing, so you can have until 75% of understanding. But if you teach other, if you teach your student, if you teach your friends, it can be peer teaching or teacher and student teaching as you as the teacher. So you will get 90% of understanding. So we can see here that the more active the students are, then the better result that we can get. So that's why the current approach of learning is student-centered based on this learning pyramid. Okay, so the foundation of the use of media, there are several foundation. There are several point of view that uh, can be used as the ground of the use of media itself. The first is the psychology. Yeah, from the psychological point of view, learning is a complex and unique process. That is, a person who learns involves all aspects of his personality, both physical and mental. Psychological studies state that children will learn concrete things more easily than abstract ones. Although this theory is called abstract concrete continuum. That's why the use of media can concretize the abstract things. So it can help you to understand the abstract things, to visualize the abstract things, for example. Okay, that's based on the uh, psychological point of view. Now, based on the technological point of view, the ultimate goal of learning technology is to facilitate student learning. So that's it. So make sure that the media that you use, whether you use the high technology media or you use traditional media, the main goal is to facilitate the students to learn. So it's not for the prestige. It's not for the, what is it? Yeah, prestige, I guess. But we need to remember that the goal is to facilitate the students learning. So don't choose the media just to make your class looks interesting, to make your class looks technologically advanced, but actually it's difficult to be used, but it's actually not practical, because that's not the goal of the use of media. Yeah, so we need to consider, when we choose a media, make sure that it can effectively help the students to learn. Okay, I will go to the empirical evidence first. Various research findings show that there is an interaction between the use of learning media and student learning characteristic in determining student learning outcomes. So based on the empirical evidence, the use of media is effective to increase, to enhance the learning outcomes. So yeah, based on the studies, many studies prove that by using the media, the learning outcomes is better than uh, just traditional teaching. And then from philosophical point of view, okay, I have a question here about technological advancement versus dehumanizations. Do you think that the more advanced the technology, it will humanize the learning process? Dehumanize means that it will reduce the role of human in the learning process. What do you think? You can discuss this with your friends, and you can also share your ideas about this to me when we have the offline class, yeah? Okay, so here are some principles of media in learning. Number one, no one medium is superior for all purposes. What I mean here is that there are so many types of media, but no one is the best for all. For example, I like storytelling, so I like to use a storybook. But when I use a storybook to teach young learners, it doesn't mean it will be good to be used to teach university students. Yeah, the effectiveness will difference. That's why I said here, no one medium is superior for all purposes. So the best media is the media that appropriate with the audience, appropriate with the learning objective, appropriate with the characteristic of the materials. And then the second, media is an integral part of the learning process. It is one part as one unit, as a whole unit. So media and the teaching process and the learning process is not something separated. It is a part of the teaching. So if you don't use the media, then your teaching, your learning process will impaired, because it is yeah, an important factors in the learning process. And then number three, whatever media is to be used, the ultimate goal is to facilitate the student learning. Yeah, that's it. I have explained it before. Yeah, remember, whatever the media is to be used, the ultimate goal or the main goal is to facilitate the students learning. And next, number four, the use of various media in one learning activity is not just an interlude or time filler or entertainment, but has a purpose that is integrated with ongoing learning. Okay, so the principle number four is quite relate to the principle number two, that the media is the integrated part of the learning. So it's not just for the entertainment or just for time killer. When you teach your students, you have talk for about 60 minutes, but you have to teach for 100 minutes, right? You still have 40 minutes to be filled, and then you use the media to entertain the students to kill the time. So that's not the main purpose of the media. The main purpose of the media is to deliver the message to the students. So it's a part of the teaching, yeah, not the filler. Okay, and then number five, media selection should be objective, based on learning objectives, not based on personal enjoyment. Okay, this is it. Remember, when you choose the media, it should be based on the learning objective, yeah, not about the personal preference. Yeah, as I said before, for example, I like storytelling, then I will use storytelling all the time because I like it, whatever the material. Do you think that it's the right decision? Not, of course. And then number six, the use of several media at once will confuse students. Okay, for example, you are, um, what is it? You master the ICT based learning very well. You have a lot of reference about the media, high technology media to be used in the classroom. However, it doesn't mean that you must use all of them at once in one learning activities, because it makes the students confused and they'll overload with all the medias that you use in the classroom. You need to choose one or some of them that you really need it in the class, that you really need to transfer the knowledge. That's it. And then number seven, the goodness and the badness of the media does not depend on its concreteness and abstractness. Okay, so I have said before about the concrete and abstract things. But the goodness and the badness of the media, it's not depend on the concreteness and the abstractness, yeah. It depends on the effectiveness in helping the students to learn to achieve the learning goals. Okay, remember about that. I have mentioned this repeatedly several times, but the purpose of the use of media, yeah, don't forget. Okay, so next I will tell you some benefits of teaching and learning media. Of course, there are so many benefits of the use of media in the classroom if you choose the uh, right media. So you can get these benefits. One, learning media can overcome the limited experience possessed by the students. You know, your students have different background, have different characteristics, and they have different life experience. So by using the media, it can overcome these differences. For example, you want to talk um, about travel by plane. For example, traveling by plane. But not all students experience traveling by plane, right? But when you use a video that gives the views of the plane from the inside, or you provide the pictures, so all students, whether they have ever traveled by plane or not, they can imagine how's the situation or the condition when we travel by plane. That's what I mean by overcome the limited experience. Or maybe if you have some students with inclusivity, some disabled students that join the uh, class with the other normal students, so they have different background, different ability. So by using the media, it can overcome their disabilities. And then number two, concretize the abstract concepts I have mentioned before. And number three, learning media can overcome the limitations of the sense, space, and time. Okay, for this point, the example is the online learning, right? By using the media, we can overcome the limitation of the space and time. For example, if we have synchronous learning by using Zoom, wherever you are, we can gather here, we can have the class together by using Zoom, right? The limitation of the space and the limitation of the space and time. For example, we have asynchronous learning. I record my presentation and then I share it to you so you can watch it anytime and anywhere. Yeah, that's the benefits of media to overcome the limitation of the sense, space, and time. And then the fourth, learning media allows direct interaction between students and the environment. Okay. For example, if we use virtual reality, we can bring the students to the place that actually we cannot visit it in the real life. For example, we are going to the zoo, but it's impossible to bring the students to the zoo at this time right now because we need to prepare the transportation, we need to prepare to the accommodation and so on. But by using the virtual reality, we can bring them there, right? That's what I mean. That's the example. And then number five, the media produces uniformity of observations. Okay, this is what I mean by misinterpretations. Yeah, basing the media, the interpretation will be uniform, will be the same. Yeah, when they observe the media, when they listen to the lecture, they will get the same perception because they not only listen but also see, but also read, but also practice doing, for example. And number six, the media can instill basic concepts that are correct, concrete, and realistic. Okay, yeah, it's quite the same as concretize the abstract things. And yeah, to make sure that the students have the correct understanding and then it's realistic also. Number seven, media arouses motivation and stimulation of children to learn. Okay, this is the other benefits of the learning media, not only to achieve the learning objective, but also to affect the psychological condition of the students, to motivate them, to stimulate them, to attract their attention. And then number eight, the media arouses the teacher's desire and interest. Yeah, somehow, not only the students are motivated, but also the teacher. When the teacher use the interesting media, then they will be more spiritful to teach. And then number 9, media provides an integral and comprehensive experience from concrete to abstract things. Okay, I guess I have explained this many times, yeah, about the experience to concretize something abstract. Okay, next I will explain to you some types of media. The first, of course, visual media, and the second, oral or audio media, and the third, audio visual media. And the next, printed media, model, and realia. Okay, I will explain it one by one. Visual media. Visual media is the media that uh, can be seen. Yeah, the media that can be seen. So we use the benefit of visual. Of course, visual because the name is visual. We use the benefit of our eye sense to get the information. And visual media, there are two types of visual media. The first is projected media, and the second is non-projected media. The projected media, it means the digital visual, the digital image that we can see from the screen. That's projected media. And then the non-projected visual, for example, worksheet, printed pictures, photographs, cartoon, printed cartoon, yeah, and chart, posters, and something like that. And then aural or audio, of course, this is the media in which we receive the sensory by using our ear. So it's kind of listening media. When we have listening class, you use MP3, something like that. So it's aural or audio. And then the next is audio visual. Audio visual is the combination between visual and audio. Of course, we can call it in other word video. Yeah, video is a kind of audio visual media because it combines the illustration, visual illustration, and also the audio. So there are two senses that receive the information, the visual sense and also the oral sense. And then the next is printed media. Printed media is the media that is printed. For example, worksheet, books, newspaper, uh, posters, modules, and so on. And then model. Model is the imitation of the real things or the smaller version of the real things. So model is something like the real one, but it's an imitation. So we can bring it into the classroom safely. For example, you want to observe a tiger. It's impossible to bring a tiger in the classroom. It will be very dangerous. But if you have the model, for example, you use the doll, you bring the doll of a tiger into the classroom, then you can use it as the media. It's a model. It's called model or phantom. Have you ever heard the term phantom? Phantom usually used in the health faculty. Phantom for anatomy learning. For example, you can see what's inside your head, what's inside your body. You can see your internal organ. You can see your muscles. You can see your skeletal system in that phantom. You can observe it. You can arrange it. You can separate it and then arrange it again. So that's model. And then realia. Realia is the real thing. It's a real thing that you can use to have any activities like flashcard. That's the realia flashcard, for example, or rolled paper, or dice, or board, and other things that can be used as the can be used to help you teaching the materials. That's real, yeah. Well, okay, that's the last slide. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope you understand about the concept of media, the benefits of the media, and the role of media in the teaching and learning process. All right, that's all for me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.